Hi everyone. First I'd like to introduce you to our fish Gil. He is a male betta, and as you can see he has some pretty severe swelling going on, mostly on his right side, but it's also began to show on his left. If you can take a look there, he looks like he's pregnant with a dinosaur. This is not normal for a betta, but it does happen. We bought Gil about 3 months ago at our local pet store, and before we even purchased him, we did take a good look at all of the fish, and they all seem to be very healthy. No ick, no signs of stress, no fin rot or anything of that nature. I have successfully owned about 4 bettas in my life, and I haven't ever experienced what we're experiencing with Gil. I'd like to mention first that he has been very well cared for. He has a 1-gallon tank, and his water has typically been changed anywhere from 5 to 7 days. His diet has consisted of pellets, and going off of instructions, it mentions to feed the betta 2 times per day, as much as he can eat within 2 minutes. This amounted to about 6 to 8 pellets per day, which I now understand was probably not good for him. About 1 month ago, I started to notice swelling on the right side of his stomach. I kept an eye on it, and every couple of days it seemed to grow ever so slightly. We decided to put him on a diet and taper down until we were only feeding him about 3 pellets every day. We did that for about a week and a half, and a little over a week ago, I started doing some research on his condition and wanting to see if I'm able to fix the problem. It doesn't look comfortable, if you ask me, and quite honestly, I don't want to lose him. I want him to be a happy, healthy fish. So what I found was a condition called dropsy, and dropsy says that the scales of the betta would be lifted and he could be showing signs or very obviously swimming sideways or maybe even kind of upside down. We don't have these symptoms with Gil. His fins don't have the same signs or symptoms of the dropsy pictures that I've seen online. And if anything, he's just protruding, and I don't know. So I don't believe that it's dropsy. He's not swimming sideways. He's still swimming around. He sits at the bottom of the tank a little more often than he used to, but at that size, I can't blame him. So the next symptom that I found was constipation. And upon researching photos of bettas suffering from constipation, it appears that that's what Gil possibly and most likely does have. So, believing that that is our issue, there's a few steps to address and attempt to cure constipation with your betta. Step 1 would be to fast your fish from 1 to 3 days. Step 2 would be to soften his pellets in water before feeding them to him and see if there's any improvement over the next day or 2. Step 3 would be to feed your fish green peas and see if it relieves the constipation. All of these steps we did try, and nothing was extremely successful. Gil did eat the peas, that wasn't a problem at all, and I did notice that it seemed to relieve him a little bit for 1 day, but it did not, however, continue to relieve him thereafter, and he did continue to eat the peas. So if you are here looking for solutions before the Epsom Salt Bath, I did come prepared for that, and I just wanted to show you how you would feed the betta the pea. If you're interested in trying that method, what you want to do is you want to take 1 pea and blanch it by dropping it into boiling water to soften it. And once it's softened, you're going to want to let it cool down, and you're going to want to feed a very small portion of the pea to the betta. And so just to give you an idea of what that looks like, you're going to want to take it and squeeze out the inner. You don't want to feed it the skin. And what I would do is just get a very small portion of the pea, about that size, and I would take my hand, because it does drop very quickly, and poor thing was so hungry after fasting, he went right after it, and he would eat the entire thing, and I'm sure he was happy to see it, happy to eat it, but unfortunately it did not do the job. So but in case you want to try it, I do suggest that, and I think that any other option before the Epsom salt bath is probably not going to hurt anything and definitely worth the attempt. So now we are about 1 month into the swelling, and in my opinion, he looks like he could pop. My last hope is the Epsom salt bath, and I didn't want to have to take this route because, for one, I feel like it's his last chance, and for another, it concerns me how uncomfortable it might be for him. While I've watched other videos on beta owners successfully complete the process, I do realize that there's a chance that it may not work, and I'm really hoping that he'll conquer this and be back to his old self. So I want to do a little bit of explaining on the preparation for this, because it is very important to pay attention to detail if you do choose to do the Epsom salt bath. The first step is you want to make sure that you're using pure Epsom salt. Magnesium sulfate, there's one ingredient in this package, and that one ingredient is magnesium sulfate. Very important. You don't want to use anything that's scented or with dyes, or it could actually kill your fish. So what Epsom salt does, it serves as a laxative for humans, and it also reduces swelling for us. So for the fish, it may relieve the fish of constipation, and it may also reduce the swelling. You're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of Epsom salt for a bath this size. Just a 1/4 teaspoon, no more. The directions are to prepare a clean 1-gallon fish tank with pure water and conditioned. You want to use the conditioner with it as well. I left some space in there because you do add water with it in the end. During this time, when you're cleaning the tank, which obviously I've already done, you're going to want to put your beta in a separate tank. And what I did is I put him in his old water in this tank, and I also got the separate bowl for the Epsom salt bath. I put the 1/4 teaspoon Epsom salt inside. I stirred it up, and it's very important you want to make sure that it is fully disintegrated before you go any further with it. I then placed Gil in his little cup into the tank just to acclimate him to the temperature. I left him in there for about 10 minutes prior to making this video. You then will place the fish into the Epsom salt while keeping water. You want about 3/4 of this water remaining in this cup, because this is going to serve as your revive tank thereafter. So what I'm going to do, because it's kind of hard to get him to cooperate with that, is I'm going to put that amount of water in this dish. I'm not trying to hurt him, I just want him to be safe. And then you very gently put him in the Epsom salt bath. They say that, oh man, he looks so bad. They say that this is uncomfortable, and you want to keep an eye for shock. There is a possibility that the fish could pass out, and if he passes out, you want to be sure to have the revive tank set up. So what you want to do is you want to place that original water back in his revive tank, and then you also want to add a 1/4 of the salt water. So I'm gonna refill it like that. Gotta have the timer started for 15 minutes. Give me just a second to get that going. Do about 14 minutes instead. And he doesn't seem to be freaking out too much. I know this is a very long video. I'm not going to make you suffer through the full 15 minutes, but I really wanted to go over the importance of all the steps and everything you can do to try to help your beta before doing the Epsom salt bath. One thing that really confused me was that I didn't find much information on the bath right away. I saw more so suggesting to put Epsom salt in his tank, and after speaking to somebody who works at a fish store, they said that that actually is not the best for them, and you want to be able to transition them ever so slightly from the Epsom salt back into their regular tank, not just dump a teaspoon or tablespoon of Epsom salt in the gallon. So another thing that I want to mention is that it's very important that you differentiate whether your beta has a severe case of swelling or if it is a less severe case of swelling. In a less severe case, you will only do the bath for 10 minutes. In a severe case, the bath needs to be the 15 minutes, but not a minute longer. It will stress your beta, and there's, again, also a chance he could pass out, so do not leave your beta unattended during this process. If he passes out, it's important that you remove him immediately. That's why I have my net handy here. You want to remove him immediately and place him into his revived tank. You'll leave him there for 2 to 5 minutes, and then you're going to want to put him directly back into his home. Unfortunately, that means that he wasn't able to sustain the changes, and you want to hold off on doing that until he's able to acclimate, which you can try it again, but they suggest waiting a few days before you take that route. So again, a little bit for preventative maintenance, from what I understand, is to soak the dry pellets. That can really be an issue for bloating, swelling, and constipation. It appears that soaking the pellets before feeding them is the most successful way to reduce that inflammation, the swelling in his belly. Another option is to just go with the freeze-dried food or your basic beta flake foods. The reason that I have chosen to stick with the pellets at this time is because my beta does not eat the flakes. He will not eat them at all. I feed him a little bit of the flakes and he'll go up to check it out, but he doesn't consume it. So that's why we switched to the pellets, and this is so far the result. So wish me luck. I'm gonna keep an eye on that timer, keep an eye on my beta, and I am gonna do a follow-up as soon as my 15 minutes are up. So thank you, and please view the other video if you're interested to see the outcome. Bye.